I started studying them when I did a trip to Venezuela when I was 16 years old with a friend of mine who's now a colleague at the Smithsonian Institution, Dr. Jason Hall. And we were just working on a school project, but it seemed that butterflies were a group that was very poorly known, and the field guides that we had with us at the time seemed very inadequate for identifying the species that we caught and seemed to have very little information. And so we became fascinated with the possibility of contributing to some field of science relatively early on, one might say, in our careers, branching out from that, working on particular groups of butterflies. And I guess what fascinates me most is the diversity of butterflies, the fact that they're so visible, and yet there's a great deal known about them, which means that on the one hand there are certain kinds of studies that one can do with butterflies which just wouldn't be possible with other groups of insects in particular, and yet there's still a lot to be discovered, and so that new information that we find helps to fill in the gaps. Butterflies are obviously aesthetically very pleasing, as most people know and recognize and love compared to many other groups of insects, and I think they're just a wonderful part of the natural world that people appreciate having around them. Butterflies obviously serve as important pollinators. They've been of value in terms of biodiversity conservation, so butterflies are used as indicators of areas that might contain species that are endangered or threatened. Tchickens are interesting from many points of view. We have a huge collection of them here. They're very, very common butterflies, and yet they tend to be very cryptic. The differences in the wing patterns between them are very slight, and so many species can't really be identified adequately. There are students all through South America, for example, who go out and do projects, collect many Tchickens, bring them back, and are simply incapable of identifying them. And yet they are a very important and common component of butterfly community. And so we started this project about 10 years ago. And at that time, there were maybe 40 known genera and just over 400 species known. Since our research, we now know that there are approximately maybe 70 genera, and about 20 of those that still need to be described.